Testing 1, 2, 3. 3. How do you make a 3? 1, 2, 3. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't do 3s anymore. So, daily carry. Here is the trauma that I used to go through when I would go out to dinner. Back when I had a life, I would go over to my desk or go to my other desk or go to the table or go to the pen area or go all of these places where I have pens. They're not all in one place, they're in many places. And then I would decide which ones I want to take with me. And for God's sake, which ones I want to take with me. So here's my studio. Here's a floor plan of my studio. So here I am, and I can find the pens I want here. I could find them over here, or over here, or over here, or maybe over here. And meanwhile, there's walls and stuff in between all of this. And then here's the door that I am going to leave from. So I walk around, I pick up I want to use the Waterman. Let me bring that. And then I have to go fill them up. I know this is a first world problem, deciding which of the 3,000 pens I have to take with me. But it's a problem. It's a problem we all have. I'm sure on a different level, it's like, what am I going to wear today? Most of the time these days for me, it involves putting on the minimal amount of clothing and a pair of shoes, and I walk around the house or down the hall or get my mail, or sometimes even going to Target to buy what I need to buy for dinner. COVID has done a number on my fashion sense and getting a haircut and all that other kind of shit, because it didn't make any difference for years what you put on, because no one would see. But now we are going out and we're thinking about this again. Anyway, the point is I'm trying to make, I find that I spend so much time trying to figure out what pen I'm going to take with me for my 2-hour trip to have dinner. And I think, why am I bothering with this? Can't I figure out a little grouping to put together for my particular weekly trip to wherever I'm going to go every week? I have done this to an extent with urban sketching. I have a bag that has pencil sharpener, some Prismacolor pencils that I use most often. I have a paintbrush. I have assortment of different kinds of paper, so I don't have to look at them. They're already packed up and they're ready to go. And it has helped a little bit. It's what some people do with their Galen leather pen user journaling purse, carrying case, whatever it's called, medical case. That's a way where you can have everything you need when you leave the house. And that all of this is well and good to have this thing organized, but my mind is in two places, which often is, for those of you that know me. I sometimes change my mind in the middle of a sentence. And it might be something really, really important, like, I believe in God Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. And let's say I'm passionate about it. It's obvious that, oh, well, maybe not. That's how it goes with me. Right in the middle of a discussion, I'll change my mind. I would be horrible on a debating team. So anyway, here's my thought. To make my life easier, I should have, and I have enough pens to do this, and I might even have enough man bags, or in some cases, lady bags, like this one here, that I can put this stuff in. Here is a lady bag, I think. It was meant to hold whatever women feel they need to carry in two zippered and one little pouchy thing here, plus for their big items, whatever they might be, and also one out here for yet another item. So there's all sorts of little pockets. Travel on. I guess this is not even necessarily meant for women. It could be for guys too. But I could just keep all of the things I use at a particular use. Go to dinner, sitting at a bar, drinking beer, eating bar food, drawing, writing names for people. Have a pen that does calligraphy well, because that sometimes gets me a free drink. In one case, it was this guy had his family at the restaurant, and I did his kids' names, and I asked what his name was. And so anyway, he had 4 pieces of paper, and he came back very sheepishly and he said, I forgot to have you do one for my wife, who was sitting at the bar. I mean, she was at the restaurant as well. So I saved him from having to go sleep in the garage that night, and he gave me a tip. So I have a pen. I'll bring a pen with me that does calligraphy as well. And all I have to do is make sure they're filled up with, let's just make it simple, black ink. Yeah, sometimes I get into a blue mood or a red mood, and I want to bring different color stuff. But anyway, this bag is what I will bring tonight, because I go to a place called Portico Brew Pub, and I draw on my iPad the questions for pub trivia. I illustrate the question. I don't illustrate the answer, or I don't give clues to the answer in the drawings I do, but I try to make the drawing kind of funny. And my iPad screen is projected onto the big screen above the bar, so people can watch me draw, and people really enjoy it. And then the quiz master Nick says, and Pierre can calligraph your name. And one day he said, and ladies, I think he's single. And the bar people laughed out loud, and the people from my building's trivia quiz laughed out loud, and I laughed out loud, because we realized his faux pas. Look, there's a little thing here for my ladies' pens. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, so this bag, this is my pub trivia bag, and I have a pub trivia iPad that I always bring it. I also use it for a different place where I bring my iPads. When I bring iPads outside, I usually try to bring ones that don't have everything on them. There's some that I keep in the house because they contain things that are kind of important, actual paying jobs I'm doing. maybe some personal stuff. I would hate to have them fall into the wrong hands. So along with the paper, and there's actual paper that I make specifically for brewpub-ing, which looks like this. And it's a little drawing I made of a piece of paper underneath a beer mug. And it says in the shadows here, piergustafson.com, and it also has an Instagram account, Drafting Drafts, which I made specifically for going to pubs. So if I have an Instagram account specifically for drawing at a restaurant, why can't I have purses for that reason? A man bag, a merce, and also, what pens do I want to bring? Well, rather than going through the trauma of selecting my newest Waterman pen and hand engraved vine, or some other pen that's striking my fancy, why don't I have a set of standard pens that does 2 or 3 things that I might want it to do? One would be a nice flexible nib calligraphy pen for drawing and doing calligraphy. One might be a pen that has a really fine nib, because every once in a while when I'm at a restaurant by myself, I decide I want to think. I know that's going to be hard for some of you to believe, but every once in a while I want to think. And the end of this thinking is I want to have a thought. I want to make a decision. I want to figure something out and solve a problem in my life. And sometimes for those times, I like a pen that doesn't let me wander around and doodle and be distracted by curlicues. I want a pen that's Johnny One Note. So I often will include in my pens a 51 or maybe a Sheaffer Triumph nib pen that has a firm nib that doesn't, this isn't a Triumph nib, but anyway, it has a firm nib, and it helps me focus on that one little brain cell that's functioning in my head and writing that down. So, in my merce for the bar merce, I have the merce, I have a 51, fine 51 for thinking, I have a drawing pen, flexible nib, flex drawing pen, I have maybe a more flexible calligraphic pen. And I might also include maybe a pen that's a little bit broader with flex. So I've got 4 pens in here, and each one will have a different purpose. 51 for thinking, flex drawing for drawing, calligraphy, and the last one I might bring with me is a pen that I can easily hand to someone who's never written with a fountain pen before, where I'm 99.9% sure they will not break it. They'll not press down too hard. Even if they're left-handed, they will, I give them a little lesson before I hand them the pen, because I'm not just going to hand a 100-year-old object to some moron, some drunk moron at a bar. I'll try to make sure it's, going to end up in hands that aren't going to destroy it. I'm not going to, bring a child to a child molester. I'm not going to get a pen to someone who's going to destroy it. So I give them a little lesson in advance, but I'll bring a pen that is user friendly. And that won't be a Fine 51. That won't be my calligraphy pen. It won't be my drawing pen necessarily. It might be the most similar thing, maybe, would be to the drawing pen. But the other thing in the ointment is, I wonder who that was. Well, I know who it was. His name was John. Duh. Even I can figure that out. I don't know when I did it or which John it was for. Thank you, Parker. I have one visitor in the room, Parker from Australia. Anyway, so the last, so again, another thing that I might want to do for all of these pens that I take out, whether it be to the bar or to the urban sketching, unmute. Did I? Hello? Can you hear me now? Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello? It's back. Okay. Well, who knows? Anyway, one of the I'll bring pens that are already pre-dinged, or something's screwy with them, like this is missing its end. The only thing really nice about this pen, this cap is nice, but I have one that I should probably put on that has lots of teeth marks on it. I'll bring a pen that already has some trauma to it, so I can, if it gets lost, if I get held up and someone takes my Merce, or if I'm walking home and trip over something and things break, I'm not gonna be upset as much. God, I would be very upset if this nib got lost, though. It's a beautiful nib on this thing. So this part of it is nice. It's beautiful. The rest of it is functional. But anyway, the other point of this story is, and this goes back to the Galen thing, the Galen bag that people have. Some people and there's nothing wrong with this necessarily. Some people make a ritual out of the selection of the pens and the filling of the pens with which color ink today. And all of these things all of them certainly will add enjoyment to the use of that pen, I'm sure. I'm going to fill this pen with Pelikan Royal Blue. I don't even know whether Pelikan makes a royal blue, but all of that adds enjoyment to the eventual use of that pen. But it does take time to figure all of this out. And is it worth all of the time that you take to figure it out? Maybe you just want to draw. I've discovered that for me, when I take all this time to try to figure things out, I'm taking away from the time that I could be actually using the pen to make the picture or to write the thought. Let's say I have a thought in my head. I have to run over, find which 51 I want to use to have that thought, to record that thought, and what color ink do I want this thought to be in. By the time I do that, of course, I'll forget what the thought was. So the balance of having an enjoyable time with your pens and having an exquisite time with your pens, or having a functional time with your pens, all of this you have to weigh in your balance of the infinity minus X number of seconds you have left on this planet. Do I want to take 3 minutes to load up my MERS with exactly the right amount of pens? Or do I want to just take my MERS that's already preloaded with the ones I always take? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Now, let's say, is there a piece of paper in my house I can use? Okay, here's a person, stick figure. There's this path or this path they can go on. And this path is the thoughtful one. Thoughtful. How do you even spell thoughtful? Anyway, thoughtful. This is the drive-through lane. You pick a restaurant that has 6 things and you only want one of them. So, all you want to do is get food in your gut. So you go take this path. This one is maybe you want to try something new and you go to a brand new restaurant, or maybe you want to go to a favorite restaurant and try something new there, or maybe you're on a date and you're with someone else and you want to try something new with them. Anyway, let's just take, again, with the pen and the filling of the ink and picking out the perfect paper and picking out the perfect, all of that stuff might be like the Japanese tea ceremony, where you don't drink tea. The tea is a everything up to the point where you put it in your mouth and swallow it is an art form, and full of tradition and beauty and logic and performance and all that kind of stuff. The end result is or you can decide to have tea at my house, and you put the tea bag in, put water on it, and count to 10, and you're done, and you drink it, you're done. So the end result is there's tea in your stomach. Now this, you can spend a half an hour getting it in there, or 2 minutes getting it in there, because maybe you have other things to do in the day other than drink tea. And maybe you have other things to do with your pens. You want to solve lots of problems, not just one. So you often, pick the one pen on the desk, or do you decide of the 3,000 pens, or the 3 dozen pens, or even the 3 pens you have, which one you're going to use? All of that takes time. And at the end, maybe the thought you write down, because of all of these preliminary choices, maybe the thought you have is more profound or written more beautifully. It could be, I don't know. What's the answer to that? Or if you were me, the thought you thought you were going to have, you have already forgotten by the time you decide what pen you're going to use. So anyway, doing something to make my life easier, having a Merce, my bag, filled with a couple of dozen of these pre-printed, and the paper I like to draw with when I'm at a bar, and this pen plus a 51 plus maybe another pen or two that I can just keep there, fill them with black ink. Who needs blue ink when you're getting hammered? Write your thoughts down. I don't know. Do you need blue ink when you're getting hammered? Or red? Sometimes it's nice, I do when I'm at the bar drawing beers. I sometimes will bring one of these pens, which is sort of an ink pen kind of thing, except I have it, the color choice is a yellowy orange color, so I can sort of imply beer, the color of beer. And sometimes it's fun to add that. I also sometimes have, even if it's out of ink, the one I have is kind of out of ink. I dip it in beer or water, and I smush it around so it dissolves the ink I'm drawing with. So I can still have fun, new fun. I'm not doing the same old thing. Like this one, this is yellow. It's not what beer looks like, but if I were to, in my drawing of a beer, they serve beer in this kind of glass at this bar I go to. So I'll draw it in black and white, and then I may go in with this and sort of move the colors around a little bit. Pretty. Add to shopping cart, $1 million. Anyway, for those people, though, that do, whether it be whatever pen you choose, whatever ink you want to put in it, to do your drawing or your journaling, maybe there is more of an added perk or benefit to being as thoughtful about what you're going to create with your assortment of pen choice, paper choice, ink choice. I think though, I guess I'm speaking more to the writer, the journalist, not the artist, because the artist is generally drawing a picture, and the picture can be dependent on color of paper and type of paper and the color of ink you're doing, because you're creating something that's visually interesting to look at. Whereas maybe a journal keeper is more about recording a thought that they have, and maybe that is not as important to have it filled with blue ink. Maybe black ink is perfectly fine for thoughts. But again, if using a ballpoint pen makes you not want to write down any thought, regardless of how profound it might be, if you're just, this is boring, and you want to make it more actually pleasurable to write down a thought, and a fountain pen gives you that pleasure, then by all means, do whatever you have to do. Just in my life, I guess I've discovered that sometimes having all of these preliminary decisions about what I'm going to bring with me to do drawing gets in the way of me drawing. Bring paper and a pencil and a pencil sharpener, and that's it. That's all I need. It's like Steve Martin in that movie he was in, whatever that was, The Idiot. All I need is this ashtray. Well, then he needs the ping pong ball, and then he needs the chair, and then he needs before he has everything with him. This is all I need. It's the desert island question. What do you want to bring on the desert island? Would this pen be one of them? Maybe. God. As usual, I don't say anything of import. But anyway, thank you for listening. Nice seeing you, Parker. Send me an email someday. You had told me about a new email you have, but you wrote it down here, and I don't know how to get back to it. So just send me an email. You know my email. My email is easy to find. Jonathan, it was nice seeing you. I don't know if who else is in the room, but talk to you later.